Good morning, guys. This is a video for geography for the quiz 3.1. The topic of this unit is demography. So what demography is the demo basically is talking about human populations, and the graphy part of it is talking about basically the study of it, right? The geography, we study of the earth. Demography is study of human populations. So human populations, when we talk about demography, we are talking about where people live, who they are, what is their race, how many people are in their house, which states have the highest incomes, which states have the highest cost of milk, things like that. So anything that has to do with people and who they are and what they do and anything about the human populations, that's what demography is about, okay? Anyways, for this quiz and for 3.2, but definitely for sure this one, look at the flashcards at the beginning of the quiz. They will help you study right before you take the quiz. That has a lot of terms and definitions that I'm not going to go over today, but look over those flashcards at the beginning. Definitely go over those before you take the quiz, because those will be very helpful before you take the quiz. When we look at these human populations, one thing that is the most used thing to find information for us to use a study is from the census. Now, if you guys haven't heard of it before, they do the census every 10 years. And in the census, they basically send a questionnaire to every household, and they ask certain questions like, how many people are in their household? What is your income? How many are female? How many are male? What is their race? What kind of jobs do they have? Do they work full time? What ages are the kids? I don't know if I said that or not. They basically ask all these questions, and all of these questions that they ask is just to get an idea of who's in our country, okay? And who these people are that are in our country. So that's what the census is. We honestly use the census in so many things, so many studies to find out about the people that are in our country. So we know if we want to truly understand who's in this country, we look at the census. If you haven't heard about the 2020 census, because it's every 10 years, right? It's happening already. Some households have probably already filled out their census. I know I have. So the census is really important because it gives us information that we use in certain maps, such as, not this one, right here. Oh, am I using the right one? Okay, hang on a second. Here we go. Oh, maybe it was working the first time. Okay, so here's a map. This map is showing us population density in the world. So as you can see, the darker colors are the areas where people are more, they're more population dense. So if people are more compact, that means that they're dense. If people are more spread out and there's more spaces between where people are at and between, especially in the cities, then it's less dense. So we are still okay. We're not, it's not horrible yet, but it's getting there. As you can see, there's some of the most dense countries. India and Japan are some of the most dense countries in the entire world. So the census will give us information. If we were to look at a population density map of just the United States, then we would see something similar to this, where California, Florida, New York, for example, would be darker colors, and states like Wyoming, Montana would definitely be the lighter colors. So that's some stuff that the census gives us from these types of maps. Other population or other distribution maps, because that's one thing on your quiz, distribution maps, basically they show how things are distributed. Right now this map is showing how population density is distributed through the world. So every section has its color meaning a certain thing about that country. So it could show political, so it could show like the main political parties in each of these countries. It could be ethnic, showing the main ethnicity that people belong to. It could be linguistic, showing their language. And then this is, again, is population. So it's showing the population. All of these distribution maps, they tell us the numbers. They don't tell us why. So it doesn't say, this map does not tell me why India is very dense and why Russia is not very dense. Okay, you have to look at other things to figure out why, but they just tell us the numbers. Okay, the other one I'm going to show you, this is the population growth map. As you can see, it has definitely increased sharply starting in the 1900s. This is thanks to industrialization. So basically people started moving to the cities, which is urbanization, urban being city. So due to urbanization, where people move a lot to the cities, and industrialization, where we make a lot more stuff for a lot cheaper and a lot more people can have it, the human population just shot right up. So as you can see that very clear in here, the most important is during the 1900s, so between 1900 and 2000, the population has doubled twice just within those 100 years, which is pretty impressive, seeing all of this right here, how flat it is. So just between here and here, it has doubled twice. It will double again come like 2060, 2070 from where it ended at 2000. But it started at about 1.8, and it doubled when it got to here, and it doubled again when it got up to here. So it's pretty incredible, especially between 1950 and 2000. It has increased by a very large amount every single year. The highest rate of growth was in 1990. So it was the highest rate of growth that we have seen in ever, basically. Now, we're going to see some leveling off. Most of this growth is due to underdeveloped countries. In your reading and for the quiz, it does talk about how once countries have been developed, they start, their population starts leveling off. So once they have the factories, that's what we're talking about development, once they have the factories and they have industrial revolutions or creation of these factories and these mass production facilities, their population starts to level off. And that's because it becomes actually more expensive to have kids, and also women work more outside of the home. It's not their primary job to be just at home all the time. They have jobs that they can fill outside of the home. So basically we have this thing called a demographic transition, where instead of increasing, so during industrialization, when they're trying to become more developed, they're increasing. And once they've hit that industrialized, developed point, which we have, it's starting to level off. In fact, in the 1700s, it used to be an average women would have the average of like 8 kids, and now the average is 2 kids. So as you can see, we have a lot less kids now. So the population is leveling off. That also might be due to our supply line is starting to be hit. It does talk about this in your study guide. There's just a line that we don't have any more resources once we hit that line, and we can't feed any more people. One more, let's see, a couple more key points I want to talk about for 3.1. For movement, people used to first settle around water because you have to have water to survive. Ever since industrialization, we can now pipe waters through the land to other places. So now people don't move to go buy water, they move to go buy the resources. Where are the resources at? They move to where people are less populated and where there's resources at. So big thing here, actually it's a pretty big thing. People move to where the resources are. Resources are what drives movement, where people move, okay? And that's what migration is, movement of people. Speaking of movement of people, the reason why people move, these are called push and pull factors. Push factors are basically reasons why you want to leave a place. So if you want to leave the basin, You might be leaving right now because, or you have people that you know that might be leaving because of unemployment due to the collapse a little bit of the oil industry. So unemployment is definitely a huge push factor. Any of these reasons, plus others, could be reasons why you want to leave an area. Pull factors are reasons why you want to go to an area. So maybe you want to go somewhere else because you're sick of Utah being such a Republican state and you want to go to a Democrat state. You know, that has happened before. People move for those reasons. In fact, in the bottom right here, political security, right? People move for education. A lot of people have moved here to the US for education purposes. A lot of people have moved to Europe for education purposes. So those would be pull factors to those areas. So push and pull factors, reasons to leave an area and reasons to go to an area. Okay. Last concept that we're going to talk about for 3.1 is urbanization. Remember, urban means city. Suburban means the area around the city. Rural means country. Okay, we are in a rural area. Salt Lake is urban. I used to live in West Jordan, which is on the west side of Salt Lake County. That's where I grew up, and that is a suburban area because it's a town that is on the outskirts of a major city. Okay, so that's what suburban is. Let's see. So as urbanization happens, as people move to the cities, they move there not only for their resources, but because of industrialization. See, when factories are being built because they're producing all these goods, then they build more factories. And then more people move to the cities to work at these factories. And then they build more factories. And then more people move to the cities to work on those factories. So these cities just get bigger and bigger because urbanization and industrialization keep building on each other. They basically supply each other. So those are big things that happen within the city. These are reasons why population growth has happened so much, is because people wouldn't live in cities so much if industrialization did not happen. Before industrialization, most people wanted to live out in the country. And once industrialization happened, people were like, let's go to the city. That's where the jobs are. That's where the resources are. Let's move there. So that was a huge change for us for our demographics. So that's 3.1.